Hello and happy September. Maybe it is actually starting to feel like fall in whichever climate you live in. For us, it's mid to low 80s still every day. Not quite there yet, but better than it was. Better than it was. Today we are talking about the books that I managed to read in August. Yay, I didn't say April this time. And our September plans as they currently stand. They changed a lot yesterday. I had a plan of what I was going to tell you. And then things happened. So we will talk about those as well since this already goes about the 5th. We're just going to mash them together in this month's video and hope that next month I have things to talk about, or this September. I'm Morgan. If this happens to be your first time here, I hope you enjoy it. You could chime in on if you have read any of these books or have read any of the ones that I'm going to be reading. What we read in August: 3 books. 2 of them though were an audio ebook mix, and one of them was just a straight ebook for a total of 1,345 pages read. The first book, I forgot the dates. No, this was not the first one. This is not the first one, but it's the first one on this sheet. I had gotten approved for the audiobook arc for The Curse of Gods by Kate Dramas. This is the conclusion of the Curse of Saints series, a trilogy. And it's very unfortunate, and it's my own fault because I did request it, but I requested it in ebook and audiobook form just to try to, hope that I get approved and be able to get to it sooner. And to refresh my memory, I went back and read my thoughts on the first 2 and realized I'd also been approved for the audio on the second book. And I hated it because of the narrator. I didn't hate the book. The book was okay, a little too long, but I did not like the narrator. This person, it was very, very hard, so I stopped maybe 6 chapters into the audiobook, so I was still trying, but I could not differentiate when we were changing characters, like changing whose character inside their head. And I was losing track of what was going on, and I was actually kind of bored. And then I stopped and I waited until the book came out and I was able to get the ebook from the library, thankfully, on the day of release. That was really weird. Very proud of my library for that. Normally they don't get things like this and that quickly either. Now in the third book, we are in the showdown. We have had so many things happen. We are going to be into the big battles of nations, of powers and gods. My problem mostly with the second book, besides the narrator, was that it was too long. It drug on. This one, I think, is maybe a tad bit shorter than the second one. I really wish I'd double check the page counts. And it's not quite the same problem. This one has a lot of traveling in it, where our characters are trying to get to each other, trying to get to these destinations in different kingdoms. And we also have a lot more characters than we did in the first book. The first book was mostly Aya and Will's perspective, with Aiden, a prince of another kingdom, thrown in after part 2 or part 3 of that book. In book 2, we added Aiden's sister Josie. Josie is a nice character, but I did not enjoy her chapters at all. They just felt like they didn't add much to the story, except to have Aiden's story have turmoil. Because Aiden's in a different place, so we have to see from Josie's point of view to be able to see what's happening there and know what kind of struggle Aiden will be facing. And really, I just wanted Josie's chapters to be over so we could get back to here. And then at the end, the thing with Josie at the end was, well, not with Josie, but what happened because of Josie. I'm going to go with it's totally her fault because she's a great warrior and whatever, and yet it just that happened. So after the ultimate battle at the end of the book, though, we kept going. We kept going to show how everybody, ended up. And that felt like it took way too long. I did not need all of that. It was too long to get to the ending. Okay, we've talked about this book too long, though. Then the book that I had for my year in Aldea, I needed a book with light in the title. And there were lots of options, I'll give it that. There were quite a few options. It's just none of them, they were like full novels, and sadly I didn't want to read a full novel, didn't think I had time to read a full novel on top of the other things that I did want to need to get to. So I picked up this one because it was a book of poems, supposed to be for children, or middle grade and stuff. They came out when I was little. I'm pretty sure I have read some of the poems by this guy before. And that's A Light in the Attic by Shel Silverton. Now, some of these were weird. Some of these were really weird. Some of them, I did remember Where the Sidewalk Ends, though, is the one by him that I think I'd read the most from when we were younger. And then The Giving Tree, is that also by him? But A Light in the Attic. Most of the poems in this collection are just a little weird. It took forever to get through this book of poems because I just didn't want to read another one. And researching into it, it seems like some of his books had ended up on some banned lists because they're like, this is not good for children to see things about like running away, or I wish I could remember the exact poem because it's not like running away. It's like I was gonna pack my bags and everything and leave, and then I got kidnapped by pirates, and I'm like, so some of the things, like the reasons why they were banned was silly, but then reading some of the poems, I'm like, this is not. Then, of course, the best book of the month would be book 4 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, The Gate of the Feral Gods, coming in at 4.5 stars. In this one, though, Carl and Donut have made it to another level, and they are separated from pretty much everybody, well, except Katya, because she's in their party. They're separated from pretty much everybody else that they know because, I don't remember quite exactly how many crawlers, but they are segmented into individual little worlds that they call bubbles, and they have to complete certain things to pop the bubble and be able to go on to the next level. And it is very dangerous and very hard, and the death rate of this level is extreme. You see Carl's anger bubbling to the surface, like he is barely able to hold it together in a lot of situations in this book. It is really, really pushing him. He seems like, yes, you've seen him like frustrated and stuff, but he seems also so calmish in other books. Maybe it's also because of the things he says about his dad before that we've learned, and that's why he does try to rein it in a lot. But you can see, especially with Quan CH. Oh my gosh. That dude, what went down. But the biggest thing was this epilogue. I don't think we've ever had an epilogue that gave so much to the future things. I think, oh my gosh, the thing that Maggie said and the thing about shouldn't say. I think that's gonna be. I have not been able to find the box cutter, so I had to go open it with the kitchen scissors. But this is the August Broken Binding Sci-Fi quarterly. Nope, not quarterly. Every other month that Broken Binding does. This is supposed to be the first one in a duology that they are doing. Trying to be good and not talk while I'm wrapping this time, because last time, This Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. Do I remember what this is? No, but I think it's post-apocalyptic. Not one sparrow can fall to the ground without your father knowing it. After the first exquisite songs were intercepted by radio telescope, UN diplomats debated long and hard whether and why human resources should be expended in an attempt to reach the world that would become known as Racket. In the Rome offices of the Society of Jesus, the questions were not whether or why, but how soon the mission could be attempted and who to send. The Jesuit scientists went to Racket to learn, not to proselytize. They went so that they might come to know and love God's other children. They went for the reason Jesuits have always gone to the farthest frontiers of human exploration. They went for greater glory of God. They meant no harm. Okay, so not post-apocalyptic. This one is going to end up being much different probably than what I thought it was going to be. Okay. Even though I've managed like 3 books a month for the past 3 to 4 months. September is Magical Readathon. It's the autumn equinox. I was like, I'll use some scrolls. I was even prepared to just get the 50 Guild Reputation Points scroll to say I completed it if I had to, and still like read books for the prompts that I could. Then I started the first book for lore yesterday. And all of the plans I'd made, all of the ones that I'd already filled in that would go with these prompts, it shifted and it changed. And now I think I might actually be able to accomplish it because I have now put 3, maybe even 4 books as manga volumes, and I read 3 of those yesterday. So for the Magical Readathon, this is what I'm planning to do in September. Maybe we get another one outside of that. Elemental Studies for Storm Call would be a book with water on the cover. This one I picked Where the Library Hides by Isabel Ibanez, and I was also going to use this for another one. This is the conclusion to the duology that started with What the River Knows, following a character whose name I no longer remember, this is super unfortunate, whose parents were archaeologists and obsessed with Egypt and uncovering the secrets and helping one of her uncles in Egypt with his archaeology and his research, and her parents in Buenos Aires were funding that. And she stayed with her other aunt there while her parents always went out globetrotting. So she was in love with ancient Egypt and the mythology and the lore of that. She always wanted to go. She was never able to, and unfortunately she received word that her parents died in kind of a mysterious way. And so she smuggles herself over there to uncover what really happened. Her uncle over there is somewhat furious and plans to send her back, but events unfold and she ends up going on an expedition with him and his assistant, Wyatt. I'll find out very soon as I read the sequel. Inscription. We have for ordinary, right? Or qualified? Or I don't remember which order. Magic of Primes was the first one though. A book with prime letters, a prime number. The title is made up of prime numbers, so the number of letters. And Where the Library Hides would have fit that. But what also fits is Cat Plus Gamer Volume 2, or just Cat Plus Gamer, by Wataru Natandi. I used Volume 2 for this one though, because Volume 1 went for my other prompt. This one is absolutely adorable. Then for the next level of inscription is archiving, which needed a vertical title on the spine. I picked out a sci-fi book for this that I wanted to do, but it's like 600 pages and I had no idea how I'd be able to do it, so I was kind of given up, and that's why I also was like, I can't even complete the Magical Readathon. But you know what has a vertical title? Cat Plus Gamer. Volume 3. Fit this one. So it's already checked off as well. Now for the last one of this one, this is my debatable one right now, is Animal Taming Runes and Animal on the Cover. Without question, I put down The Butcher's Masquerade, Book 5 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinneman, because Donut is on the cover. Easy. No question. This could also, and probably does also still need to do another prompt, because I'm going to stretch it and say that it also fits the one that I need the letter for. And then I could just put Cat Plus Gamer Volume 4 in this one and be completely done with inscription today on the 2nd of September. Maybe, because I do need to, edit this video. For lore, that started the whole thing. Forgotten Tongues, a translated book. I picked manga because it's easiest to get from the library, able to get done. It's very easy. That I already said easy. So that's why I did pick up Cat Plus Gamer Volume 1. And I'd only planned on reading one manga this month because I was like, I don't know if I'll actually like it, because the last manga I read I didn't like, and I feel like I'm mostly only reading Volume 1s of things and not finishing them, and I feel bad about that. And I also debated about going back to Death Note, because I think I'm on 2 or 3 of that one at least. But I'm so glad I picked up Cat Plus Gamer. I will actually tell you what it's about now too, since I'm 3 volumes in. It follows Riko Katakara, an office worker who does her job, never does overtime, gets everything done, doesn't hang out with her co-workers at all after work because she goes home and she games, and she spends all of her free time gaming. She's very hardcore into it. It translates over into a lot of her life, except she kind of doesn't let people know that. She's private about that kind of too. But one day the security guard at work finds a kitten in the parking lot and brings it in a box and says, who might want this kitten? We're going around to every department. And she doesn't even know why she said it really either. She said, I'll take it. And thus their saga begins, and it's adorable. In the first volume, of course, it's mostly her figuring out how to take care of a cat, getting used to having a cat at home, learning things about it, finding out it's a boy that took a trip to the vet, and naming it Musabi. And it's just adorable. They're so cute. I will probably read all 8 volumes of this month. They were just adorable. I couldn't stop reading them yesterday, and I'm so glad that they continue to fit prompts. So, might read volume 4 and just knock out all of Inscription, and then use the Butcher's Masquerade only for the second prompt of lore, which is Ancient Post, and it needs letter or notes on the cover or inside the book. Now, Dungeon Crawler Crawl can fit with this, kind of, because the messaging system inside the book is kind of like you're emailing people or, mailing letters, but just digitally. So I will say it counts, because I cannot find anything else to fit in this prompt that I want to read, am willing to read, have time to read. I also tried Mango with this one, and I couldn't figure that out either. Now the prompt that gave me absolutely the hardest time to figure out, and I don't know, it took several Google searches and just to even come up with this. Restoration, broken focus tincture. It needed a single POV. I finally determined All Systems Read by Martha Wells, the first in the Murderbot diaries, should be single POV. We should only be seeing from Murderbot, I hope. That's what Google led me to believe. I really hope I'm right on this, because it would be fun to read Murderbot, and it's short, only 156 pages, thus making Dungeon Crawler Crawl Book 5 the longest book on the whole readathon. And maybe then I can complete it, because Where the Library Hides is only 350 or 380 pages. I have the page count. I wrote the page count. 380 pages. So we will have to see. The very last thing I need to fit in to September, though, is a book with foil on the cover. Because for the year in Aurelia, it was a split path prompt. I could either get a book with light blue on it and go in one direction, or a book with foil on the cover because your character is investing something shiny, and I think my character would definitely be going after the shiny because she's a scholar and a scribe and trying to, find knowledge in things. So we're going for the shiny, which means a book with foil. I have two. I had an option, but it's also really, really big, and I don't know. It's got foil for the blades, so I might be able to read 5 Broken Blades by Maya Cortland this month. Maybe. It is much shorter. The other option, and one that was kind of requested, but it was also said, a review on it, so that would mean having to do more focus to it, and I don't know if I can do that. I don't know. I still have studying things to do this month. Would be Doomsday Book by Connie Willis. And it's chunky. I would love to know what you guys read in August or your plans for September. How are things shaking up and going as the month has just gotten started? Hopefully it's going very, very well. And I don't know what the plans are for next week's video yet. I have a schedule, but it says to be determined next week. So if there's anything in particular that you'd really like to see, feel free to drop things like that in the comments down below as well. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, though, and that I will see you in the next one.